The 1999 to 2000 college football season was pretty much without controversy when it came to the two top teams in the country, as they are the only two undefeated teams from power conferences, being number 1 ACC champion Florida State and number 2 Big East champion Virginia Tech. Additionally, the rest of the top four was pretty much without controversy as well, being number 3 10-1 Big 12 champion Nebraska and number 4 9-2 SEC champion Alabama. In the end, Florida State retained its number 1 ranking and undefeated season, defeating Virginia Tech handily 46-29 in the national championship. But what if the college football season had existed as it does today, with a 4-team playoff, and all these teams had a shot at the national title? We start things off in the Fiesta Bowl as number 1 Florida State takes on number 4 Alabama. And the scoring starts early in the first as Alabama hits this field goal. On Florida State's following drive, Chris Winkie looks for a receiver over the middle, but the pass is picked off by Marcus Spencer, who finds an opening on the right side of the field and runs it all the way in for the score. But as the first quarter is coming to a close, Chris Winkie comes back firing, hitting Ron Dugans on the sideline, who makes a couple people miss on his way to a long touchdown to cut the Alabama lead to 3. After the ensuing kickoff, Andrew Zhao tries to make a big play of his own, but his pass is picked off by linebacker Brian Allen, who sees nothing but daylight in front of him as he returns the interception all the way for the touchdown. Florida State would then extend their new lead to 7 with this field goal. They then make it even bigger as they force Andrew Zhao to fumble and then recover that own fumble in the end zone for a safety. Andrew Zhao's day goes from bad to worse as he's picked off again, this time by Cleveland Thomas, who was able to eke by the Alabama players all the way in for the score. Alabama is finally able to get back on the board on this short Shaun Alexander touchdown run. They would go for 2, but Andrew Zhao's pass would fall incomplete. The Alabama offense comes storming back late in the third as Andrew Zhao hits Terry Jones Jr. for the score. Late in the fourth, though, the Seminoles would re-extend their lead to 6 on this field goal. With under a minute left, Alabama has reached the red zone, but elects to kick a field goal on 4th down instead of going for the win. They bring out their onside kick unit, but Florida State recovers. Number 1 Florida State holds off number 4 Alabama, 29-26. We now move over to the Peach Bowl between number 2 Virginia Tech and number 3 Nebraska. Virginia Tech takes a 3-0 lead late in the first on this field goal. Almost 3 quarters of no offense later, it is late in the fourth, and Nebraska needs a big offensive drive to keep things alive. And they started off good here, as Bobby Newcomb hits Matt Davison for a big play. With 17 seconds remaining in the game, Nebraska is faced with a 4th down, and elect to go with a halfback pass, and Dan Alexander somehow hits TJ DeBates in triple coverage to get inside field goal range. And they would send things to overtime with this field goal. Nebraska would win the overtime coin toss and elect to defend. But on Virginia Tech's first offensive play, Michael Vick would drop back and throw a pass over the middle, but the pass is overthrown and picked off by Carlos Pena, possibly clinching the game for the Cornhuskers. And it does, as they would kick this field goal for the win. Number 3 Nebraska ekes by number 2 Virginia Tech 6-3 in overtime. We now head over to the national championship between number 1 Florida State and number 3 Nebraska. Late in the first half, Chris Winkie's pass is intercepted in the end zone by Tony Ortiz, giving Nebraska a 7-0 lead. They would then follow that up with Dan Alexander's second big passing play of the playoffs, as this time he would hit TJ DeBates for a touchdown. Nebraska would then take a 17-0 lead with this touchdown. Florida State has not given up though, as midway through the fourth, Chris Winkie would hit Cleveland Thomas for the score. Then with just over 2 minutes remaining in the game, Chris Winkie would hit Snoop Minnis to cut the Husker lead to 3. After getting the ball back, they are now faced with a 4th down and only 8 seconds remaining, leaving just 1 shot left at the end zone. But Chris Winkie's pass is overthrown and intercepted in the end zone. And that does it. Number 3 Nebraska upsets number 1 Florida State 17-14 to claim the national championship.